And his lawyers are going to prove that he's innocent. I mean, FBI came with the same charges. Homeland Security came with the same fucking charges. Racketeering. Like, damn, I thought y'all was the smart ones, but y'all still doing the same shit, the same 2008 trial that he was acquitted on. But okay, you're the smart ones. Okay, great. Just keep doing your job.
And we are here today to talk about Jane Doe number 5. Okay, if you have been under a rock and missed the fact that once again, Azriel has had a breakdown on social media. She did last night. She double streamed from her Instagram and her YouTube. And you guys know that her YouTube channel has been monetized. And so you can expect to see her go live on there more often. And someone, people love to say that, YouTubers don't make that much money. They only get $1 per 1,000 views. That really isn't true. There's a whole lot that goes into the monetization of individual videos. And when I start my YouTube school, I had posted in the community chat that I was thinking about doing some videos on YouTube, and the highs, the lows, the ins, the outs, if you're thinking about becoming a YouTube creator. So expect that content to begin in the next couple of days. Probably I'll start it on Monday. I've already been getting my graphics and everything together and coming up with a list of all the things that I'm going to talk about, and I'll get more into monetization in one of those videos. So Azriel will make a lot of money on this channel if this channel is allowed to stay up, because if you notice on that video, they're actually playing Disney advertising on that video. So she could easily make well over, like, in the thousands of dollars off that video if it is allowed to stay up, because that is considered premium advertising. And then the video is over an hour long, and she has the video set where that ad is running, like where advertising is running every 10 to 15 minutes or so, because YouTubers do get to set how many ads run in their videos. That's not set by YouTube. And so you figure, I went through that video, just scanning through the video, not actually watching it, and that Disney World video popped up at least 5 or 6 times as I was scanning through that video. So she will make a lot of money off this video, make no mistake about it. And so what you may want to do to eliminate that is you can, once the advertising starts to play and it allows you to click off that advertising, immediately click off of it. And because the longer the advertisement runs and the more people engage with the ad itself, determines how much each view of that ad is worth. And so if you want to look at the content, but you don't want to, reward her through the advertising dollars, as soon as those 4 or 5 seconds click off where it says that you can skip the ad, go ahead and skip that ad. And, another thing I had said about her being able to monetize this channel, I did talk to an attorney, and that attorney said that the defense, Greenberg or Anton or whomever, needs to file a motion with the court, talking about this video, and that is, in violation of, court records, well, not court records, but court orders, because his defense attorneys are not allowed to talk about this particular case in depth or give like really in-depth information about the case or speak to specifics about it. And so if they go ahead and get sanctions against Azriel as a witness in this case, then they can petition YouTube to delete her channel or delete these videos off of her channel that pertains to R. Kelly and to what she alleges happened in their relationship, because it can have a negative impact on the case. And so whether or not he would do that remains to be seen. But however, he did file an addendum to the motion for R. Kelly's release, and that was filed today. And so I'm going to go ahead and read that to you, and then I will go back and give you more content on the video that she did last night. So he writes this motion to Ann Donnelly. And so I don't know if the judge is on vacation, if she's out sick, or what's going on with her, because normally she responds to these motions within a day or two. And we're going on a week now, you know, with this. I think he had filed the original motion last Friday, was it? And he's since the prosecutors filed their opposition, and now this is the second response to the opposition, and she still hasn't chimed in. So not sure why she was out for the arraignment hearing and why she hasn't tapped in over the past week on these motions. But it did give him an opportunity to file this addendum. And it's a really short letter to the judge. It says, "Dear Judge Donnelly, we respectfully submit this letter as an additional reply in support of the most recent request for release from pretrial detention. We are submitting this additional reply solely and exclusively on the basis of obstruction. The second superseding indictment contains 6 alleged victims, all referred to as Jane Doe. While the number of Jane Does has remained consistent at 6, at least one individual was dropped from the initial indictment and one added." Now, I don't know what Greenberg is talking about. I think he is a little confused. The Jane Doe that was dropped from the indictment and a new one added was actually in the Northern District of Illinois' case, not in the Eastern District of New York. In the Eastern District of New York, it has been the same Jane Does all along. Remember, in the beginning, there were 5 Jane Does, and then they added Aaliyah, and Aaliyah became Jane Doe number 1, which pushed the original 5 from 1 to 5 to 2 to 6. So I think he's a little confused there when he's talking about these indictments. Then, and Azriel has been on this indictment from the beginning. Then it says the defense has previously requested that each of them be identified. The court denied that request with respect to Jane Doe's 2 and 3, meaning to this date their identities remain unknown to the defense. The government has identified a picture of Jane Doe number 4 and provided no further information. To date, predicated solely upon the picture, the defense has been unable to identify who that individual is. This means that the defense and Mr. Kelly do not know the identity of 3 of the 6 Jane Does. Now, we know that Jane Doe number 4 is Geronda Page. So I don't know why. Like, is he trying to say that R. Kelly never met Geronda? Because Geronda herself said that she was in the federal indictment. So why he's now saying that Jane Doe number 4, they don't know who that is. Maybe we need to go back and look at the information provided on Jane Doe number 4. But I thought we were pretty sure it was Geronda, because it said September 2009 to January 2010. And that's when Geronda is alleging that she went to this house party and started this relationship with him. So I don't know, Steve. Then it goes on to say Jane Doe number one appears to be a deceased individual, which we know is Aaliyah. The only other individual who has spoken or been identified regarding that allegation has been actively talking about his appearance before the federal grand jury on social media, and we know that that is Demetrius Smith. And he says he has never suggested that anyone has reached out to him on behalf of Mr. Kelly, and no one has. Jane Doe number five is and then back to that last statement about Demetrius Smith. He's basically, fortifying the fact that R. Kelly is not trying to obstruct. He's not trying to contact any of these people. He's not sending anybody to talk to any of these people, because as much as Demetrius be on social media, going from YouTube channel to YouTube channel, he has never stated in any of his interviews that R. Kelly has tried to intimidate him, has tried to reach him and tell him not to testify or anything like that. So then it goes on page 2, it says Jane Doe number 5 is Mr. Kelly's former girlfriend, who, contrary to what typically takes place between victims/witnesses and the accused, was allowed unfettered access to Mr. Kelly, and, as previously noted in our reply in earlier pleadings, has not made any suggestion that he obstructed. But to the point for this additional filing, it would be impossible for Mr. Kelly to engage in any obstructive behavior regarding this individual. She has, since leaving Mr. Kelly, created an active for-profit social media presence, requesting individuals to subscribe to her Instagram and YouTube channels, where she regularly speaks of how awful he is. And then once again, he hasn't tried to, since that day, I think that they talked at the, on that phone conversation that she recorded where he wished her best and told her to get on with her life. She hasn't said anything about him trying to reach out to her or contact her. So that's a good point that Greenberg is making. Then it goes on to say yesterday on a channel she titled, and it's blacked out, but we know it's Scoop of Azriel, found at, and then he gives the YouTube channel, at the approximately 42-minute mark, she takes a Versace winter coat that she stole from Mr. Kelly and cuts it up, showering herself in the feather fillings. Excerpt here, and then it has the YouTube channel and, the 42-minute mark. It says, it is clear from the audio that this was a premeditated stunt to gain viewers, with her mother in the background commenting that they had discussed using a knife and how that would have been much easier than using scissors. The rest of the video, as well as her others, has this Jane Doe talking extensively about her relationship with Mr. Kelly and her status as a victim. She is using her status to promote her brand. Watching all of this, it is obvious that she long ago rejected any allegiance to Mr. Kelly, could not be influenced by him or others acting on his behalf, and that any idea of a fear of obstruction here is simply fantasy. The remaining Jane Doe is number 5. He makes another mistake here. Is Jane Doe number 6, who is Faith Rogers. He says, who is represented by counsel in relation to this case, as well as a related civil suit she is filed. Mr. Kelly is similarly represented in the civil suit. She too has an active social media presence, much of which can be found by searching the Twitter hashtag, and it's blacked out, but I'm sure it's hashtag Faith Rogers. Like Jane Doe number 5, she has created a vast inventory of negative media regarding Mr. Kelly. Like with Jane Doe number 5, any idea that there is a fear of obstruction here is simple fantasy. So I'm going to, then he goes on and says, to the extent this court has previously been led to believe that there may be a risk of obstruction, the fact is that there is no one related to this case who would be the slightest bit receptive to any overture from the Kelly camp. There is no risk. We request the court accept this additional filing. Respectfully submitted, Steve Greenberg, and Michael Leonard on behalf of Mr. Kelly. So I'm thinking that the reason Greenberg has not requested sanctions be made or requested that these social media accounts be taken down is very strategic. I think he wants to give them enough rope to hang themselves, and I mean that proverbially speaking, not literally speaking. I think he wants them to get out there, act the fool, put all this information out there, then he can build up a case in order to get their social media shut down. So that is a good strategic move. So I would expect in the next month or so to see those motions being filed, to get this stopped, unless R. Kelly is telling them just let her go and do what she wanted to do, which I think would be a bad move at this point to allow her to continue to do all this. And then I might have mentioned this in the last video where I think it was Prima Donna, put that image out where she asked Dominique on Instagram if that was her in that picture, and that Azriel posted, and she said no, that it was Photoshop, and that she did not know who that man was in that picture, but it definitely was not R. Kelly. And so we already know that Azriel is putting up Photoshopped images where she's moving people from, taking people out of pictures that they took with other people and then putting them in pictures with R. Kelly. And another thing I wanted to bring up, and I might talk about this in another video, there is a deep fake video out where someone has transposed Steve Harvey's face onto a video of Meg the Stallion where she's performing her song. I think it's the song Savage. But I mean, just of course we know that it wasn't Steve Harvey, but when I tell you that that deep fake was flawless, and so I hope that Steve Greenberg, that they have people prepared to come in and testify about, how this stuff is being done. I hope they're gathering these Photoshopped images, and, and I'm sure they're really building a case, using some of this social media information. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is a lot of people think that, actually I'm going to save that for another video where I talk about social media and law enforcement. I'll save that for another video. But getting back to Miss Azriel, it is obvious that this girl is, I don't know if she's on drugs or if she's on alcohol. She claims that she doesn't do drugs, but she does like some Hennessy and pineapple juice. So I don't know if she's drinking her blues away or what's going on, but she is definitely off her rocker. And I don't know if at this point it's just about making money, but we can tell that she has been crying, that she's obviously crying herself to sleep, and is really starting to affect her. And she really needs to get off of YouTube. And she definitely, I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see if this YouTube is allowed to remain up, or if Greenberg, if they are going to try and impose some kind of sanctions against her to get her to stop putting this information out. And I think with Dominique saying no, that is not me in that picture, or not that it was not her in the picture. We know it was her, but that the picture had been photoshopped, and she doesn't know what Azriel was trying to do. And then I got to thinking, sometimes I be wondering, is Azriel doing this, because you guys saw the clip at the beginning of this video where she was talking about how dumb the prosecutors were. Like, I'm starting to wonder if she is sabotage on purpose. Like, is this some like demented plan in her head to help R. Kelly? I mean, because the stuff that she is doing is so crazy and so far-fetched. And like we say, these images that are coming out, the Photoshop jobs are so terrible. She can't believe that she's actually fooling people with them. So is this just like some diabolical plan in her mind to help R. Kelly? Or is she really, really thinking that she's hurting him? And like, is she trying to get herself out of being Jane Doe number 5? Like, she doesn't really want to testify against him. So if she does all this craziness, she's basically giving Greenberg and the rest of the team ammunition to use against her when this case eventually goes to court, if it does go to court. Like, I am at this point thinking that this girl is either a nutcase or she is super duper manipulative, and she thinks that she is helping R. Kelly in the long run. I don't know. That's what I'm teetering on back and forth. Either she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, or she really thinks that she's outsmarting the system and outsmarting everybody else. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And then she also said on that video last night that she still doesn't know when she's going to come out with part 1 of her story. But I'm thinking if she gets on YouTube and starts talking about these other women, that's going to cause a lot of issues and dissension. And they might come, like clap back at her, which is another thing that kind of makes me kind of lean towards that she is doing all of this on purpose, trying to manipulate the system. Because you notice none of them have come out in support of her. None of them have come out and said, oh girl, congratulations for finally wising up and leaving. I think Kitty Jones did one interview where she was basically giving her some advice on how to handle, being away from him. But other than that, none of the other women seem to have come out and embraced her and be in full support. And I'm thinking if she is serious about telling their stories on these this YouTube channel, and how she's going to just tell her story in either 5 or 105 videos or whatever she said, I think that it's going to cause some friction between her and the other alleged victims. And so how that would play out. But Dominique doesn't strike me as the type that is going to, I think she's going to be above board and honest. And if Azriel says something that's a lie, I think she's going to say, no, she's lying, just like she did with the Surviving R. Kelly, where she went on Dr. Rice's show and pretty much said, they edited my 4-hour interview to make it seem like I was against Robert, but I'm really not against him. And so I think she would still do that. The others, I don't know. I could see Faith Rogers. She get on there talking about Faith Rogers. Too bad. I can see Faith Rogers coming on social media, cussing her out. And so I'm just starting to wonder now if this is her way of getting back at her parents, getting back at the prosecutors, or if the girl has really gone off the deep end. But you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and end this, and I will do another video about the whole social media and criminal justice system. So that's it for me. Like, share, comment on the video. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
At the end of the day, let it be known that I am definitely in love with Robert fucking Kelly. R. Kelly. Yes, that is mine.